Como un contra sería que tal vez el INA no nos prepara 100% para llegar a la empresa, nos va preparando como a poquitos.
Y tenemos un conocimiento bueno, digamos, depende de la empresa, pero viene solo un mes con esa empresa y corta ese conocimiento y después seguimos en el INA.
El pro que veo que, digamos, yo llegué un poco avanzado a mi clase por el hecho de que ya sabía un poco de arte final, pero lo aprendí aquí en la empresa.
Sí, claro que sí, los recibiríamos. Creo que ya en la oficina tenemos sistemas que nos ayudarían a incorporarlos.
No apoyaría, habría que analizarlo muy bien, pero creo que tal vez como está planteado, no lo apoyaría.
No pensaría en que nos tengan que ofrecer incentivos para contratarlos. Más bien lo que me interesaría es tener acceso a las notas de estos estudiantes y a los profesores de los estudiantes.
Podría ser en cargas sociales, podría ser en impuestos, pero habría que analizarlo muy bien para saber cuáles son el costo de la empresa a incurrir con el costo-beneficio también o del estudiante o de la empresa.
The previous interviews reflect the first impression of two of the most important protagonists of the topic that I will be presenting today. My name is Nancy Carvajal and I am very pleased to be presenting my final Masters of Fiscal Consultancy graduation project at ULACIT. With respect to educational reform, one international trend has been the development of a dual training model that incorporates the involvement of educational institutions and local businesses as well. This joint and coordinated effort functions with the objective of providing students with a better quality of education and a real-life business experience while also facilitating their future inclusion in the national labor market. Costa Rica has recently made strides in this area, strides particularly evident in the drafting of Law Project 19019, Law for the Regulation of Education or Training Technique in a Dual Model in Costa Rica. Upon reading Law Project 19019, one quickly notices an obvious and notable vacuum, a vacuum created by the wholesale exclusion of any and all discussion of tax-related issues. This exclusion immediately puts Costa Rica in a disadvantageous position relative to other countries who have already incorporated the dual education model, and this in turn slows the acceptance of the program by local employers. It is intended, therefore, through this investigation, to answer the following question. What tax benefits could local companies receive in a properly structured dual education system in Costa Rica? However, putting first things first, we should begin our investigation by understanding some relevant background topics. Lately, Costa Rica has focused its efforts and attention on two particular pillars of the global competitiveness: the efficacy of the labor market and the quality of higher education, and their convergence in a dual education model. This model, first introduced in Germany, was the most common way to learn a trade and came to be through the natural act of a trainee learning a skill directly from and under the supervision of a teacher. The trainee did not receive a salary but was provided with room and board. When he or she finished learning, the position and the skill became official, and the trainee or apprentice began receiving a salary. Of course, the success of a dual education model in any particular country depends greatly on it being fitted to the local needs. Even today, over 50% of students in Germany choose the dual system, and not only has it spread to many other European countries, but it also has crossed the Atlantic, taking hold in some American countries. In Costa Rica, prior to this law project, the country had only two legal sources relevant to the dual education system: one related law and a separate legal critique or opinion, both of which are related to the incorporation of supervised practical experience for INA students specifically. Now that we have a bit of background of this topic, let's move on to the discussion of the objectives of this investigation and how those objectives were achieved. The general objective is to determine the appropriate tax benefits that participating companies could receive in a dual education system in Costa Rica, all the while keeping three specific goals in mind. The first one is to analyze the contribution of the law project 19019 in order to promote employability in Costa Rica. For this goal, a survey was given to a random sample of 50 employees who work in different companies in the principal metropolitan area. Some of the most relevant results are: 70% of respondents consider Costa Rica to be a competitive country, while 30% do not. An overwhelming majority of respondents, 82%, consider the current legislation and the performance of government institutions to be deficient on topics related to labor. With respect to the incorporation of new professionals into the labor market, 72% of respondents believe this process to be difficult, while 28% view it to be normal. However, none consider it to be an easy process. When asked about the main factors that detract from labor competitiveness in Costa Rica, a large number of responses center on two main issues, both related to the application of a dual model in Costa Rica: a significant shortage of agreements between schools and employers, and educational programs not being updated in accordance with the requirements of the labor market. When asked directly about their familiarity with the dual education model, more than the half of the respondents report having no knowledge of it, with 5% claimed a small amount of knowledge and 34% said that they know the model perfectly. When asked more focused questions about the companies where each respondent work, 68% of them said that their companies usually allowed high school students to obtain work experience. And 78% of the respondents reported that there are many tasks at their companies that could be performed by high school students. Finally, nearly all survey participants, 96%, reported that they would like to act as a mentor for high school students as they gain work experience at their companies. The second specific objective related to the tax issues is to analyze the experience of other countries regarding the application of tax benefits in dual training system, and this analysis to create a time-tested framework for Costa Rica. To this end, a bibliographic review was created in order to compile and analyze the experience of other Latin American countries that applied the dual education model. Upon an in-depth analysis of this information, the applicable countries became grouped in two categories: those that provided no tax benefits, Mexico and Peru for example, and those that offered to companies the possibility of deducting double of some expenses related to the incurred cost of providing a student with work experience, notable Chile, Panama, and Brazil. Our third and final more specific tax objective is to suggest which tax benefits could be included in Law Project 19019 in order to promote this project as a more feasible and attractive proposal. For this objective, a focus group was assembled. All 5 participants were experts in tax matters, and the group was composed of students and professors from ULACIT. They provided a significant added value to the analysis of the inclusion of tax matters to the project, and those ideas will be presented as part of our conclusions and recommendations. As promised, let's move on to our conclusions and recommendations. Number 1. Labor competitiveness and education are inextricably linked, and so directly connecting academic education with job training has been both extremely successful and socially accepted. 2. While most Costa Ricans are unaware of this law project, our country has a history of dual education, most notably with technical schools, and the general public is therefore open to this approach. 3. A well-structured dual education system in Costa Rica will directly increase employability and subsequently decrease social problems arising from unemployment, such as poverty, crime, etc. 4. In addition to the tax vacuum in Law Project 19019, other notable vacuums exist. including the omission of clear rules regarding wages, the omission of who is responsible for titling, and the wholesale omission of financing. 5. Costa Rica's dual education platform has already been provided by the experience of other countries. 6. According to research, the inclusion of the tax incentives for participating companies is important but not necessarily mandatory for the model's success. Now, what are the recommendations? First of all, Costa Rica should initiate this model as a pilot plant, thereby permitting proper measurement of real cost and acceptance. Next, mimicking other successful countries before us, Costa Rica should establish delegates who negotiate financing and sponsorship for the implementation of this model. Concurrently, the state initial benefits must be reviewed in real time to ensure alignment with the purposes for which they were created. Fiscally, it is recommended to incorporate the following tax incentives into Law 19019. 1. Allow participant companies to deduct double their expenses related to the dual model program for the determination of taxable income, including travel expenses, payroll, office supplies, training expenses, etc., with a detailed record of these expenses to be provided to tax authorities annually. However, these exemptions cannot exceed 10% of the taxable income. 2. Exempt participant companies completely or in part, ranging from 20% to 100% exemption from the sales tax on public utilities like electricity, which can be determined in stages by the number of participant students each company receives. These modest tax incentives are analysis-based and consist on 3 main premises. First, it is not the best time in Costa Rica to offer aggressive tax incentives given the current difficult period of fiscal stability. 2. Keeping the tax incentives simple saves time and money for the tax administration, who would be otherwise responsible for drafting these regulations. And 3. Making sure the participant companies do not lose money as they are the drivers in this model. Finally, 3 non-tax related incentives are recommended as well. 1. Free training for employees of participant companies to be executed by the INA and others and negotiated by the state. 2. Professional treatment in deadlines with public institutions such as personalized monitoring of the program by various state-run agencies. And 3. Increase the state allocate benefits versus the competition for the hiring of suppliers and goods and services. Well, we have come to the end of this presentation, and it is my hope that during these few minutes your interest has been piqued regarding to this important topic. Thank you for your time and your attention, and have a great day.